We've talked about this. We've talked about this. It's about to be a fourth phone. Camera on this phone is not good at all. Anyways, I didn't pay much for that one. So now, so we talked about Sweden, and we talked about the lockdown, and we talked about the shutdown there. John Flynn, we know what an absolute scumbag he is. We know what a criminal he is. We know what a tyrant, fascist, dictator this guy is from his DA's office. We know the terrorist that he is from his office. We know how bad a guy this guy is, all right? But it goes even deeper than that. What this guy, what this criminal, what this outright, I don't even know what the word is. He's a complete and total and utter piece of garbage degenerate. Send that back to John Flynn. Send that back to John Flynn. Who's ever watching from Erie County, they always say that they see me and everything else. Send it back to John Flynn. What he did, I don't know if you guys remember, there was an individual on Hurdle earlier this year, I think it was in August. Antifa, who is the enemy, the actual enemy, Antifa and Black Lives Matter are the actual enemy because they are the ones that actually destroy property. They terrorize neighborhoods. They burn buildings. They occupy cities. They vandalize people's property. They trespass on people's property. They spray graffiti on people's property. They occupy streets, they disrupt traffic, they kick people's cars, they hit their cars, they smash their windows. Actual acts of terror in our communities designed to be acts of terror and instill fear into our communities. John Flynn, in all his wisdom and all his knowledge and all his radiance and gloriousness, hasn't arrested one person. Not one person from Antifa, even though there was attempted homicide on several people attempted homicide, even though they attacked officers, even though they ran over an officers, he justified it, made an excuse for it. Who even knows where that case stands? Officers get run over. I think he was defending them. He attacks law enforcement, goes after law enforcement. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. What quality individual John Flynn is. What a quality, grade A individual, upstanding public servant John Flynn is. John Flynn found it necessary for a man who was on Hurdle Avenue when Antifa was scheduled to attack Hurdle Avenue. 200 people marching, chanting, down with police, chanting, down with police, chanting, F the police, the pigs, die, our streets, everything else. They have already pulled people out of their vehicles. They had already gone up and down Elmwood in pulling cars, and I don't know if John Flynn did, but pulling cars came out and said it was all conspiracy theory, that it didn't happen. None of it happened. So the businesses, they're broke, smashed windows, looting that took place and the neighborhood that was occupied, that never happened. The people who were videographing it and recording it, that never happened. None of that ever happened. So this individual was standing outside of one of the bars trying to protect the neighborhood, doing everything that he could to protect the neighborhood. He grew up on the west side. This individual grew up on the west side. And he has been around all ethnicities his entire life. Would never call anybody an N-word. He called the white kids, he used the N-word, didn't call the white, I don't know if he called them the N-word or whatever, but he didn't call anybody that was black the N-word. There wasn't anybody but black that was there. It was all the angry white kids that come out. And they started to assail him. They started to come after him. And he stood his ground, and he stood his ground. There was, a weapon that is completely legal. He didn't brandish it. He was defending himself. And I don't want to get into the details of the case here. He was not arrested the night of. John Flynn found out about it. And just like with Joanna, he decided in his infinite wisdom that they needed to go after this man full force. Guns a-blazing, everybody. So John Flynn, for the past 3 or 4 months, has used every one of his resources to go after a man that was being attacked by a mob of angry individuals that had set fire, looted, rioted in our streets, attacked individuals. Nobody arrested. Not one person arrested. So he defended his neighborhood. He defended the streets. He did what he needed to, and that de-escalated. So that man should be praised as a hero. That man stopped what would have been a nightmare situation that we have all seen over and over and over and time again, that Pulling Cars and Byron Brown don't acknowledge, and John Flynn refuses to go after anybody to arrest them. Refuses it. So now John Flynn makes this individual enemy number one. He offers him a plea. I'm not going to get into what the plea was, but the plea was essentially outright dismissal of it. Outright dismissal. So what he did was so bad that without even appearing in front of court and being arraigned, or maybe he was arraigned, I don't know all the details of the beginning. I may be speaking out of turn. But it was so violent a crime that he was going to have it all dismissed and dropped. But now, 3 months later, John Flynn has taken it upon himself to slander this individual, libel this individual, use law enforcement, local law enforcement, against this individual and his wife to attack them, spread lies. He's used the media to spread lies. He has exaggerated everything that is happening with this individual. From day one, has exaggerated absolutely everything that has happened with this individual. Has used the media as a weapon against this individual. All because John Flynn's feelings got hurt. You know, we all know what that is, right, guys? You know, we all know what that is. John Flynn then decided that it was going to be appropriate to use every resource in the county and the state, whatever resource was at his disposal, he used them to go after this individual and his wife. Not only that, but individuals in the neighborhood were also utilized against this man and against his wife to attack them. John Flynn's office or law enforcement at the direction of John Flynn used neighbors in this individual's neighborhood to attack him and his wife, as verified by the individuals that attacked this man and his wife. You want to know how bad it's gotten, guys? When politicians' son can get away with murder and they can put it off forever, that's how bad it is. But it's not even that bad. It's even worse. When the real criminals aren't being arrested, when the real criminals are allowed to occupy offices in our DA's office and use their power against the people like this, a man that was defending his neighborhood. He stood up against a mob of tyrants and terrorists. People that were committing hate crimes, that had committed hate crimes, that were assaulting people, that were pulling them out and attempting to murder people. He decided to protect his neighborhood, and John Flynn saw it fit to go after this guy with guns a-blazing. Well, 2 days ago, this individual sitting at home, they've been trying to get a hold of him, law enforcement over and over and over again. Law enforcement outright lied to him on the phone over and over again. And an army of individuals were there, deployed by John Flynn for this individual, who was going to have his charges completely dismissed. They were going to go completely away. All the charges were going to go completely away. The day after, just do this and it'll all go away. And that guy said, no, F you, I'm not doing that. And the guy didn't do anything. His crime that they're alleging that he did was that It was a hate crime by saying the N-word. That is what he was. That's why John Flynn is so upset. Do you think for a second that Black Lives Matter and Antifa and Surge and Western New York Liberation Collective and One Society aren't pulling the strings on law enforcement and John Flynn right now? You're kidding yourself. You're fooling yourself. John Flynn is an outright terrorist who is using his authority to go after good people who are defending our towns, our businesses, the neighborhoods, the people. And John Flynn doesn't want to do anything about the terrorists. He doesn't want to do anything about the people that are attacking anybody. John Flynn sent an army of people 2 days ago, law enforcement, outside of his house. Not only did he send an army of people outside of his house, after they got him out of the house, they portrayed it. So what happened was law enforcement said, again, anonymous tips, guys, anonymous tips have to go away. It is about as anti-constitutional as you can get. You are allowed to know your accuser. Doesn't matter what department it is, you are allowed to know your accuser. Authorities received an anonymous threat that there was an incident going on at the home. Oddly enough, it's in the country. Neighbors aren't that close. And the one neighbor that could have called on anything, end of the story, they weren't even home when they said the incident was taking place that they used to justify this huge, army of law enforcement to come after this man and his wife. His wife did nothing. His wife wasn't even there during the incident on Hurdle. And the only thing that this guy did was say the N-word to a bunch of white kids. John Flynn portrayed it as this man, it was an escalated situation. John Flynn portrayed it libel, slander, lies, abuse of position, abuse of authority, abuse of office. John Flynn needs to be arrested. John Flynn needs to be put away. And every other DA, criminal DA, ADA in his office, and judge in this town and across this state needs to go away. Law enforcement, you need to recognize what these people are doing, and you need to call them out. You DAs out there that support this, you need to be put away. You DAs that see this happening and know it's wrong, you need to do something. The judges that are seeing this, you need to do something. This man was attacked through the media by John Flynn daily, over and over and over and over again, for doing nothing more than defending his neighborhood against a mob of terrorists. They came to his house with an army of individuals a couple of days ago. Helicopter above, drones, for a guy that said an N-word. And not even to anybody that was black, to a bunch of white kids. Because he grew up on the West Side and he would never do that. So John Flynn has portrayed this man who has lived an exemplary life up until this point, is all kinds of unbalanced and everything else. And that he probably had weapons. So that's why they brought this army of law enforcement, that it was going to be this standoff, he said. And that's how the media reported it, that there was this standoff. There was no standoff. He was talking on the phone, walked out of his house. He complied with every order. His wife came out of the house. They arrested her, detained her. She did nothing wrong. And law enforcement, through John Flynn and the DA's office, were used as terrorists against this individual. And when you want to know why we need these changes and why we fight for these changes, this is it. No one in law enforcement, in that army of law enforcement officers, thought for a second, are these guys so sad and depraved right now and deprived of doing anything that they're looking for something like this to do? That they gotta have that adrenaline rush and they gotta put on all their military garb and everything else? Again, I know great law enforcement officers. I know them. Detectives, sergeants, lieutenants, chiefs of police, FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, Lisco State Troopers, sheriffs. I know great officers. Nobody in that army of officers yesterday is a great officer. Not one of them is a great officer because not one of them questioned the order or looked at it and reviewed the case to see why they were going out and attacking a man and his wife. And I wonder how many of those individuals, those law enforcement officers, were told to shoot to kill. I would love to know that. I would love to know if anybody in that army of officers was told shoot to kill. All because a man chose to defy John Flynn. All because a man decided to defy Byron Brown and every polling cars and everybody else who isn't doing anything about Antifa, that they want those people in Black Lives Matter to terrorize our neighborhoods. All because he chose to do that. They decided to go after him and his wife and attack them. I'm going to get into this more tomorrow, but it made me sick hearing this, and I had to come on. I'm going out to eat now, but I wanted to share this with you guys. Guys, it is a bad, 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 bad situation right now. With Byron Brown, with Paul Cars, with Cuomo, with John Flynn, with all these DAs, with these judges, it has been a bad situation for a very, very, very long time, guys. Very long time. And it needs to end. And it needs to stop. And which member of law enforcement is going to have the courage to say, it's time to stop? Do we need a new sheriff? Maybe I need to run for sheriff. Maybe I should run for sheriff. Then I'd have the authority to arrest all of these criminals for committing crimes. Let's see how long it is before they have somebody come after me and attack me if I do that. Maybe I should run for sheriff. Lord knows the sheriff we have right now isn't doing anything. He's not doing his job. He's not arresting the criminals for the crimes that are being committed against the people, the innocent, good people of this county. Instead, they're using their offices to go after a man and his wife for using the N-word to a mob of 200 people that were attacking a neighborhood and were ready to assault him and bury him. And he chose to protect himself and stand his ground. And for that, he was attacked. He's been attacked in the media for the past 3 months. He's been attacked in every way you can possibly imagine, utilizing law enforcement and the DA's office and every other resource the DA's office has against this man. Sick, sad, pathetic. You're a puke, John Flynn. You are a sad excuse of a human being. And when you get arrested for the crimes that you've committed against the people of this town, all ethnicities, all of them, the people that you have raped, the families that you have raped, deprived them from their fathers, from their mothers, their brothers, their sisters, and you have cheered about it. You've come on camera and smiled about it and laughed about it. The families you have destroyed because of it. You will answer for those crimes legally, lawfully. And even when you leave office, John Flynn, someone in the sheriff's department is coming after you. I will do whatever I have to do to get somebody elected sheriff in this county, even if I have to run for it. And we're coming after you legally with every ounce of legal authority that we have. And you're done. And every DA underneath you, ADA underneath you, that you have convinced to behave the same way and act and commit the same crimes against this community, all ethnicities, all religions, colors, creeds, they're going down too. You're going to jail because that's the only place you belong. You are a traitor. You are a weak-minded piece of garbage. I got to go for dinner, guys. I just wanted to share it. It made me sick to my stomach. And it should make all of you guys sick to your stomach that an innocent citizen, a DA, John Flynn, used the media against him, used law enforcement against him, and directed them to attack this man and his wife. I'll cover this more tomorrow, guys. Maybe there's going to be more I got to cover later. I don't know. Sorry for it being so dark. Enjoy your nights, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.